welcome to Lorena's Labyrinth. If you're a returning visitor, thank you very much for your support as usual. Appreciate your support. If you're a newbie, I hope that you find the content interesting and valuable. Today we're going to talk about Archangel Raphael and his powers and the wisdom and the teaching that he's able to give to us. Now, just to be clear, not all of it may resonate with you. Some of it may resonate, and it may resonate partly, and that's all okay because we're all individuals. What feels right for one does not necessarily feel right for another person. So I'm always interested in what people have got to say, their comments. If you want to add to it or put a comment up saying that something does or doesn't feel right, it doesn't make you, me, or anybody else wrong. It just means that it's not quite right for you or for me at this point in time. And as with everything, it's important that what we take on board feels right and what doesn't, we let go of. Before we get into it though, just a reminder, when we invoke the angels, we must remember that their primary purpose and function is to reawaken and support our connection to the Creator. And part of this process involves calling upon the Creator first by whatever name you refer to the Creator. Now that might be God, Jesus, Allah, Elohim, all that I am. These are just some of the names, the great I am. It's whatever you feel comfortable with, because if you're not comfortable with the term, it's going to inhibit your capacity to be able to connect. And this is the same with the term angels. Not everybody is comfortable with the term angels. Some people refer to them as beings of light and love or beings of the highest order. So once again, it's whatever way that you are comfortable making the connection. And what I refer to as angels, they're going to respond to you in ways that make you feel comfortable yourself. So it's worth bearing in mind that while I've got images up that they've got feathers and a winged aura, this is primarily because I think it looks nice, and it's just part of me being able to discern when I use my clairs. But the key or the most important message is that angels are never ever frightening. They don't judge us, they're not fear-based, and when we call upon them with the sincerity of our heart, they will respond immediately. I've included this slide here on the Angelic Hierarchy, and there is a video that's dedicated specifically to the Angelic Hierarchy, but for the purposes here, it's to show you where Raphael sits in basically within the structure of the angelic kingdom. He's considered to be a great healing archangel. He is associated with the colours indigo and purple, which is, of course, when I say indigo, it's got a purplish hue to it. So, of course, some people associate it or call it purple. But either way, he's associated with the third eye or the brown chakra. And this is one of the major power centers of our body. It helps us in many ways, including developing the capacity for heightened self-awareness and understanding of who and what we are, and any self-imposed limitations and obstacles to health and love that we might be carrying within our subconscious. So just so you know, some people will associate Raphael with the colours of emerald, an emerald green, or a beautiful yellow lime green. And we'll have a look at this as we go through the video in more detail. So obviously the first things we want to know about Raphael is to do with his name, and his name translates to divine healer, or God heals, or God cures is another definition for him. And he's the spiritual source behind all the cures, and he brings healing to all those people that seek wholeness. The other interpretations of his name means that it is God who heals, or God please heal. I think the Catholics actually have a feast dedicated to him, in September and October. I'm not sure, people could check that out. But of course, he's one of the angels that's referred to in the Bible, or I think even the Old Testament. Now, as with all the angels, he's going to give full credit to the Creator, God, for any miracles that he participates in. And he helps us in ways to seek our to seek and access our healing gifts, and he shows us ways to heal ourselves and how to draw upon the energy of nature and the cosmic universal energy. He has a twin flame, Mary, and she brings with her energy of compassion, mercy, grace, and nurturing. She's got a maternal and protective energy to her. So most New Agers will associate him, as I said, with the colour purple. However, there are some that will associate him with the colours emerald and gold. And this is primarily, I believe, due to the links between the colours of healing. Emerald is said to be a colour that's helpful for muscular healing. Gold is said to heal the aura as well. And of course, when we talk about the brow chakra, it is believed by many that on the third dimensional level, which is what we refer to humans walking the earth path, that the brow chakra is indigo coloured. But as because the soul retains the chakras once the body goes, it's believed that the brow chakra of the soul body is emerald green, and that's referred to as the fourth dimension, if I can speak, the fourth dimension. Now, the other blessings, gifts, or powers that he has includes abundance, prosperity, and truth. And of course, truth is very important to our own growth of soul. It helps us to make informed decisions and also to live with integrity. So when we talk about the brow chakra, his powers include the development of what we call the clairs. So, of course, when we're talking about the clairs, we are actually talking about what many people refer to as the psychic gifts. Or the intuition, which is centered in the brow chakra as well. And when we talk about the clairs, we're talking about clairvoyance, which is clear seeing, clear audio, which is clear hearing. Clairaugustance, I think, is for the clear tasting, when people get messages via taste. Olfactory, I think, is clear smelling. Touching is clear sentience, and clear empathy, and claircognizance. I think there's a different name for clear empathy. I can't remember what that's called right now. But either way, these are the heightened senses that develop as we develop our brow chakra. So his first mission is basically to clear the mind of any false beliefs and to uplift our thinking, open our mind, because it's with an open mind and open heart and an unshakable faith will rise from it. His next mission, of course, is to help heal the body. Well, help us heal our bodies, repair cells, tissues, and organs, and to purify the bloodstream. And that way the body is fully ready to receive the nourishment that's provided from this universal spiritual light. And during this time frame, if you go this pathway, you're going to feel your heart center just burst open in a lightning flash of love as your vibration increases. There are other things, by the way, that will occur, but they will be unmistakable for you, and they're part of your personal journey as you do this uplifting of your vibration. Anyway, you start to become aware of sensations as you purify your personal body, and you become this center of pure, unconditional, divine love. Now, when we talk about this love, it's tangible. You can feel it. It has that vibration. And as you develop your gifts, you're going to be able to feel this vibration and the energy spreading to other parts of your body. And it is just amazing, is all that I can say. And it does allow this access to the psychic gifts that have been lying dormant within us. And it's part of our spiritual awakening. So when we talk about his powers of vision and visionary and the ability to see, and how he as an archangel governs these forces, this is where I believe that he becomes an important factor for any manifestation processes, because as part of manifesting, including abundance and prosperity, we have to be able to merge the right brain with the left brain and be able to concentrate and focus on the heart's desire, particularly if it's part of the divine plan and whatever it is that we want to manifest. So it is within this context that I believe that he is associated with abundance and prosperity. So Raphael also works with the healers on the earth plane, and he influences them you would be guided and encouraged to call upon Raphael and ask him for advice or to participate in any healing activities that you involve yourself in. And part of this includes healing yourself, this heal the healer wisdom. So ask for healing on how you can absorb beauty directly into your own soul, to promote your own healing, to guide you in the creation of or construction of a specific healing space. You can call and invoke upon the following angels that are listed here as part of this healing process. Now, I feel focuses on beauty. I will actually have angel videos on each angel that I name, but of course we've got Raphael here for beauty, Israfel for music, because this all carries healing vibration to it. I think you pronounce her name as Shishine. She's for purity, Kayla Ray for peace, Charmian for harmony, and Uziel helps to strengthen the faith. So these are all part of the teams that Raphael draws upon when he's delivering healing. So just a reminder, when we actually are trying to invoke and draw the energy, such as a specific energy, if I can speak of Archangel Raphael, it becomes a case of making a conscious decision and choice to attune yourself to their energy and to invoke them to clear, cleanse, purify the space and facilitate an environment of physical, mental, emotional and spiritual healing. And I would encourage all healers to work on their own energy bodies before actively working on other people. But having said that, if you're going to do healing anyway and you purify your intention, it is possible to be able to deliver a healing without transferring anything less than divine love. And that might be something that I'll look at talking about in a future video. If you've been watching the other videos, you will be aware that each archangel has a specific power. They hold a ray, a healing ray. And for Archangel Raphael, the interesting thing is that he actually holds the emerald ray, which is a ray of the heart. And this is part of the connecting vision, heart, manifestation, healing, faith, that kind of thing. But anyway, he helps all those people who seek healing and assist them to return to the God creator source. And within this process, they're able to receive the healing and alleviate pain. I've actually seen some amazing miracles when people are working with Archangel Raphael's energy. He is a guide for healers and therapists, as said before, and also for counsellors as part of helping us to open up to receive. Now, as we start to take more responsibility for our own personal health, he will encourage the healer within all of us to do what is best for our own health and vitality. And this means he helps us to see the healing lessons also within any of our ailments and to understand what the messages of pain and suffering can teach us. And by that, we're talking about, emotional and psychological causes of illness. And, if we're astute and attuned to what our body is telling us, we can do an early intervention. Anyway, the other thing, he is actually also associated with healing people in a hospital setting, because he does work in a curative light and he works to transmute suffering and promote hope and reduce any symptoms of dis-ease and pain. Okay, so this is basically, a lot of people have said that they've witnessed seeing healing angels in hospitals during the evening when hospitals are much quieter. So in accordance with the laws of intervention, I think it's important to be aware that people can pray for a single angel to attend to a patient where there's a life at risk, and to work with them to either prevent the physical death of the physical body, or to reduce the symptoms in the patient, or to inspire the doctors to find the correct treatment. Now, of course, when we're invoking angels, we have to do it in such a way that we don't interfere with their divine plan. So I always give strategy and technique for navigating this. So it comes back to this business of what is part of their divine plan. Now, if it's part of the divine plan that the person will live or survive, there will be success within this invocation and healing process. This is if the person's got more to achieve on the earth plane. And anyway, the angels will work when it's part of that divine plan. I keep putting in this disclaimer here. By clearing the areas of congestion in the person's etheric body. And this helps to open them up to this cosmic energy, and which can heal the cause of the physical and psychological causes that have resulted in the manifestation. I'm always very cautious when I talk about stuff like this on YouTube, especially when we're talking about the healing of physical and psychological symptoms, because clearly we've got compliances that are important to adhere to keep the channel open, and also I believe from a karmic responsibility perspective. So I want to really point out here that I have seen miracles. I have known people that were at death's door that suddenly make this miraculous recovery and are healed. But at the same time, I have known people that I just aspired to have the faith that they did, that have passed away from what would have been a treatable disease if they had, for example, done one of the mainstream health interventions. A lot of the times these days, if we go to the doctor with an ailment, it's not necessarily terminal if we get treatment at the appropriate time, and by that I mean medical treatment. And what I have seen is actually people die, and they had huge faith. And so this is one of the reasons why I say don't, from my perspective, do not ignore mainstream medical treatment that is proven and evidence-based, but rather use the angelic energy, the metaphysical, the healing energy in conjunction with whatever your doctor tells you to do. Now, if you don't have faith in your doctor, get a second opinion or a third opinion would be my advice to you, because we have to take responsibility for our own health. And in fact, actually, if you call upon Archangel Raphael, he will guide you to the appropriate doctor. This is just my belief anyway. Of course, you may have a different opinion, and if you do, pop a comment up, please. Part of Raphael's wisdom is sharing with us that our body is our creation. It'll tell us what is and isn't working. And if we want to understand how this works, then pay attention to a young child, really watch them. They're very fully spontaneous. They eat when they're hungry, they sleep when they're tired, and they throw themselves into their emotional expression, whether it's a tantrum or whether it's fun and laughter. They will put themselves into it fully. Now, as they grow and evolve, of course, they'll learn negative habits, they'll learn some attitudes and beliefs that help them to survive. But these survival habits generally are impediments to the flow of natural energy, which we call Qi, or QI, I believe, if we're talking about feng shui. So anyway, this energy is reflected and associated with health ailments, and these ailments can range, from your simple aches and pains, headaches, fatigue, and minor illnesses. And if those symptoms are ignored, then they can become stronger and they can become even more serious. So his wisdom is that we have an opportunity to do whatever it takes to be healed or to leave the body behind ultimately, okay? The body has a consciousness to it, it's got the feelings, and it's vital to listen to the body and to love our body. When our body is suffering, we're advised basically to pay it full attention rather than block it out with medications. Obviously, I need to be a little bit wary when we talk about blocking out pain with medications, because, of course, sometimes medications are essential, and as part of the compliance for this channel, we can't disregard the fact that sometimes medications do replace, they're basically under the doctor's supervision, so we have to endorse what the doctor says. Now, if you're experiencing intense pain, including emotional or mental, it might be difficult at first to work through them, but the aim of connecting with Raphael is to match the intensity of the pain or the suffering to the prayer. So if you're in huge pain, then pray to the Creator and pray to Archangel Raphael with this enormous intensity to fill your body with healing light and energy. Now, the key to everything as well is, whilst we put this intensity in, it's not about forcing yourself. It's not about pushing yourself beyond your limits. It's okay to stretch outside the comfort zone a little bit, but not to overdo it. So small steps first, just pray with intensity. Before things get to an extreme point, the body's going to give you these clues and signs for you to respond to, and they help to identify the cause of any imbalances of the energy in the aura. And you can give permission to your body to release these deep feelings in the ways that it needs to. And this is often through movement or sound. Dance and activity will help you to accept feelings. And the more that we do this, the more it occurs, and the more we embrace the messages of our body, we can use our mind to heal the feelings so that the mind and body open up fully to this healing energy and balance. Now, just a reminder, suppressed feelings remain trapped in the body where they were initially felt. And from an energetic perspective, the area goes numb, it stays hard, and it becomes difficult for it to vibrate. So we are encouraged to embrace our feelings, and suppressed awareness of trauma, for example. This can create a pain that follows for lifetimes until it's finally released. And this is about facing it. And this can even actually include sending healing to past lives. I'll be doing a video on past life healing in the future. Now, some tips are offered here as part of healing the body, which includes evaluating your lifestyle and your environment. You would be advised to ask yourself, how are you treating your body? Your body is your vehicle for your soul on earth. Are you giving it the correct fuel? Do you feed it right? Do you rest it right? Do you allow it to recuperate? Or do you regularly push on through at times when you should be resting? Do you do routine maintenance, like an annual service or whatever of it? Do you habitually smoke or use caffeine, alcohol and other drugs or stress? Not all stress, but to combat stress, because you're stressed out constantly. If you're working through basically ongoing stress, highly stressed, it's going to have an impact on the adrenals, and that's going to cause fatigue as well. So things you would ask as well is, do you eat junk food? What is it that you are trying to learn here? So honor your feelings, honor your body. This might include a change of jobs, a change of lifestyle. It could include changes in residence, relationships, friends, habits, and even lifestyle. You're discouraged from practicing self-denial and, as I said, this emotional repression, because it will ultimately lead to a lack of health. So the wisdom here is you have the power to change and to accept your true feelings, and you can call upon Archangel Raphael to help guide you to see clearly and support you in love through this process of healing. The wisdom of Raphael includes linking emotions and thoughts and explaining that they're interrelated and they're part of the process of manifestation. For example, a manifestation starts with the thought or an idea or a feeling and a desire which becomes the focus of our attention. Now, if we're experiencing pain, anguish, suffering or betrayal and we hold that pain within us, then it becomes the focus of our attention and will tend to manifest more of the same until we learn to let go of that pain and to distract our mind from the cause, if you like. So not necessarily distract, because there's a risk there of suppression, but it's recognizing the pain and working through it and processing it and then being able to release it and let it go. So sometimes the pain is so unbearable, however, a person may need to have medication as part of balancing their mood. In the earthly world of the physical, we're not directed to stop taking medication without the supervision of a treating doctor. However, as part of the treatment, we can call upon Raphael and the angels of healing to assist us to rise above or to transmute the emotional and psychological pain into love and positive outcomes. And you can do this, as said before, by invoking Raphael and his healing energy, calling upon the Creator first to direct the energy for the perfect mind, body and spirit function. And you can also invoke, one of the strategies too is to invoke healing at a cellular and atomic level. Other things that you can do is ask to be shown clearly the emotional thought or causation of an illness if you're not aware of it. And then in this process, you can hand it to the universe for transmutation. Now, when working with the healing angels, they will also, healing angels also includes working with specific angels for specific activities, such as working with the angels of emotional balance, if we're talking about Uriel there, and the orange chakra or the heart chakra or the crown chakra. This is about balancing mind, body, spirit, and developing an awareness as well, and to bring peace into our sense of self. But most of all, the biggest wisdom that he gives is to be kind to yourself through the healing process, and understand that the healing process is designed to allow you to feel greater joy in your heart. So, because of Raphael's connection and association with the brow chakra, the third eye, one of the most important lessons that Raphael can give to us, or pieces of wisdom, is that many people obviously are going to try and bypass the development of the other chakras and will focus on developing the third eye, the psychic abilities. Now, his wisdom is that, if it's forced, if you don't put the effort into the underpinning chakras, then you're going to not develop your third eye or brown chakra in a healthy way. So it's a process, and he encourages you not to try and force the psychic gifts to open before you're ready. They're going to open up invariably and inevitably as you go through the process of your own chakra and auric development. So the problem is, if the chakra is imbalanced, then a person hasn't worked through the release of fear. So this is why it's very important to start with the red, then go on to the orange, the yellow, and the heart, so that all of these things, the chakras, the intentions, and that are stabilized. If a person hasn't released fear and they're trying to open up their third eye, then the chances are they're going to draw them to themselves fearful and fear-based experiences, and sometimes this can be quite distressing. And the other part of this is that because they haven't gone through this process, there is this inability to discern truth from fiction, if you like, an energetic truth or whatever. So the whole chakra is going to become compromised. So if you're seeking to develop your psychic gifts, then you are encouraged to develop them healthily, wisely, with the best possible outcome, so that you've got integrity of the information that you provide or receive and provide. Now, quite often what happens is, when people are stepping into their gifts, that they're opened up through an incident or a very distressing incident, trauma perhaps related. Substances can actually open up the clairs as well. But when we're talking about this kind of opening to the psychic gifts, it tends to be basically to let the person know that there is something more than what they think, that life is not as limited as perhaps the situation that they're living in at that time, which can be quite low vibration. But it's kind of confirmation of them, explore to start the process of healing, as opposed to going, well, I've had a psychic vision, so therefore I'm now a psychic, or I've seen spirit once or twice, so therefore I'm now a spirit communicator. It's to encourage a person to develop and evolve these gifts, and that, as I say, starts at the base chakra and then work their way up. I would be a bit remiss, having taught psychic development and psychic awareness to many people now, if I didn't, as a teacher, turn around and say that this is one of the reasons why I don't offer psychic development on the channel in a wide scale, because there is a responsibility, I believe, as a teacher, to ensure that a person develops their gifts in healthy ways. And when a person is not working on all of their chakras and this whole healing aspect that we refer to with Raphael, there becomes the potential for complete psychological lack of stability. And when I was working in the psychiatric field, of course, I would find many people who actually did have intermittent but unreliable psychic vision, and often they they were diagnosed with schizophrenia and things like that, but clearly they had lost their capacity to function within the earthly world because they couldn't discern truth and reality from the visions that they were seeing, and also because they were operating at this low vibration. Yes, they drew to themselves a lot of very distressing psychic experiences, for want of a better description. So that's probably a really good piece of wisdom for all of us to take on board. So to speed this video up, what I'll do is I'll just let you have a read of this. This is the function of a healthy brow chakra, okay? Just briefly, yes, it's about focus, vision, intuition, insight, and spiritual awareness, the ability to see clearly and understand it. When we talk about seeing, we're talking about not just the physical eyes, we're talking about the clairs. And then you've got the characteristics in the box on the right, explaining what that actually looks like, what a healthy functioning brow chakra looks like. And here we get an idea of what's going on when the brow chakra is imbalanced. I mean, this is not a full and comprehensive list. It basically is just an introduction to it. But if somebody has a dysfunctional brow chakra, they're going to really struggle to discern fact from fiction. And it really, if we were being unkind about it, it would be like, whose voices are you listening to? Because everything becomes questionable. There is a real difficulty in separating what is a real vision, what is a true vision, what is truth from reality. And in fact, that would probably carry over to their relationships as well, because they would probably have difficulty in identifying a person with questionable motives who's seeking to exploit them or whatever, because there is this total imbalance. Or they might project onto the other person agendas that actually aren't real as well, because of these symptoms of paranoia. They might think everybody's out to get them when that's not the case. So it's an inability to be able to discern and to see clearly, and obviously the suppression of their intuitive senses. So self-awareness is a really important part of doing personal healing and understanding self. So on this slide, I've put a number of questions that you can ask yourself in regard to establishing where you're at, where you need to be able to see more clearly, or where you might want to be able to see more clearly. And based on your answers here, you're going to get an idea of how to invoke the energy, how to direct Raphael's healing energy within your own self so that you can achieve your goals, okay? So this is just something you can read in your own time. Pause the screen if you want. And you might have other suggestions as well. Once again, I invite you to put up your own responses. So here I've made a couple of suggestions for you to look at, of course, in your own time. They're more generalist, but they're still going to cover the areas of personal need that a person might have, right? And just to go back to this business of referring to the process of developing the psychic visions, I think the best way of describing it as a comparison is to turn around and say, look, you don't put the roof on a house before you've actually put the foundations in. Every building starts with putting the slab in first, and then they put in the rest of the structures. And this is the same with accessing the psychic gifts or the intuitive gifts. And another thing I think I'd like to point out to everybody here is that quite often we hear people who have been born with their gifts or whatever say they've got no control over what they see and what they don't see. And that kind of makes it sound like they're a bit of a victim of universal energy and divine love, if you like, which is actually not true. My position is, and of course people might think differently, is that part of the journey, if we've got gifts, is to learn how to use them and to take charge to a certain extent. And the reason I say this is because from my perspective, once I really started to develop and go into full swing with them, I became more aware. I saw a lot of natural disasters, and that included the tsunami that hit Bali. It was Cyclone Katrina or Hurricane Katrina. I saw her wipe out New Orleans in advance. it's got no actual relevance, was what I concluded, for me to actually have these visions. It's not like I could contact anybody and be listened to and say, look, this is happening, it's going to happen. And the problem is that the way that I was seeing the visions, I actually was there. Okay, so it came in my dreams, but I was there in that moment, and I was part of the hysteria in my dream state, and this was how they conveyed the messages to me. And so from an empathy perspective or an emotional perspective, what would happen is I would wake with all of the terror and grief, actually, not the terror, because when I was in the dreams, the terror would unfold and I would be there for the aftermath, which was all, grief, loss and destruction. So I would wake in the morning completely actually distressed by what I'd seen. And I just decided that it actually wasn't appropriate for me to see those things. If I couldn't use the information in my dreams to be able to help people, then I didn't see the point of having them. It was just like confirming to me that gifts do happen, I guess. So yeah, anyway, I took control of that and told my guides and angels that actually if the gifts couldn't be used for the greater good of humanity, then they didn't serve a purpose for me, and so therefore I didn't want to see those kind of visions in my sleep anymore. And suffice to say, I actually haven't for many years, of which I'm very grateful. So therein goes the proof that when you put it out there and ask, they will actually support you to have good health. So if you've watched my other videos, you'll know that each of these great archangels, they have a temple in the ether. It's also called a healing chamber or a healing temple. And each of them is said to be associated with a specific day of high energy. My understanding is that the high energy day for Raphael is Wednesday. Of course, I believe that you can go to these chambers any day of the week for healing, if you were wanting to get specific healing. The other thing with this is that it talks more specifically about the ray of healing that Raphael holds, which of course his is called the adoration, love of God, love of the Creator. So you would go there invoking that they expand the love that you have for Creator and God. This would actually be a really good thing for everybody to do, but more so for those people that work in the feelings fields as well. But the healing fields and modalities, working with metaphysical or energy or whatever, if they're hoping to enhance other people's lives, then of course, yes, it would be a very good thing if they could work on their own energy fields first, and they certainly will benefit from attending the chambers and working with Raphael. So if you're wanting to connect with Archangel Raphael as well, there are certain crystals that will help to enhance the connection if you're into crystals. I mean, if you're not into them, it doesn't matter, but certainly they have great energy. I used to sell them. These are just some of my favorite crystals. I do warn people to be a little bit careful though when they're buying online, to make sure they buy from a buyer that's credible, that has some integrity, and where you know that the feedback is actually real. Ametrine is fabulous. Okay, that's up there, I think, more so than to develop the brow chakra, but because it helps to purify and release. But of course, it does have those attributes for developing the third eye. Tanzanite is phenomenal, but it's also quite expensive. Labradorite is one of my favorites. Purple amethyst is very popular with people. Fluorite as well, that's got multi-healing purposes as well. If you were going to go for something like fluorite or labradorite though, you would want to go for a crystal that has got the purple and green type flashes in it. They would be recommended. The tanzanite is good because colour is also important when it comes to connecting with crystals. It's not always the case though. You can use crystals like phenacite or whatever that are also good for the third eye, but a rule of thumb is actually if the crystal is the same colour as the chakra, it's going to be of some form of benefit to it. So tanzanite is probably a good one. Once again, I say it's very expensive, but because it actually is indigo blue in colour. I just saw how long this video is getting. I'm going to speed it up. Okay, so here's a tip. if you do an invocation or you put out to go to one of the temples in the evening, you can do it before you go to sleep. Chances are you'll probably feel asleep. So all you do is you ask that when you wake at the normal time that you have a conscious recollection of what has transpired during the sleep state, and keep a diary beside your bed to record any of the information that you do remember. And that includes feelings, emotions, colours, and anything else that pops into your mind. When invoking the angels, of course, you use a firm voice. You don't do a wussy pleading voice. You call upon the Creator first and you then invoke the angels. Okay, so I'll give you a demonstration of what this looks like. If you could just bear in mind, it's not comfortable for me to do it in a public forum, so I never actually do it quite right. But it's just to give you an idea of how you do it. You would stand tall, straight, chin up, hands out, palms up, ready to receive, open to receive. So you're taking a stance and you're affirming to your mind and to the universe that you are open to receiving the healing energy. And then you would say very clearly, Father Creator, Father Creator, Father Creator, or replace that name with what you call the Creator. Okay? I now invoke the mighty Archangel Raphael, Archangel Raphael, Archangel Raphael of the Emerald Ray to stand beside me and pour healing energy into my aura at a cellular and atomic level. I invoke that he purify my vision so that I can see clearly internally and externally, purify my mind, body and spirit so that I can maximize the amount of light that I can carry. Thanks be. Anytime we work with the angels, whether we're invoking or conducting a healing activity, it's always important to follow with gratitude for their participation. And the gratitude needs to be heartfelt because this opens and paves the way to a stronger connection with the angels and increased receptivity. And it's just energetically something that needs to be done for the best possible outcomes. I can't think of a better way to explain it. It's good manners, I think, anyway, from a human perspective. But in regard to an energetic perspective, it's an opener. It must be done. If you're like me and you forget sometimes to say thank you at the end of doing a service, then I tend to say thank you in advance. When we work with the angels and we're escalating in our vibration, we always have opportunities to do service work. Now, with Raphael, you've probably heard of many times, there's no secret. It's like, let's do a healing list. And generally, people's names get put on this list and we visualize them receiving healing, or there's some kind of healing activity associated with it. So the advice being, when you connect or when you're invoking Raphael as part of service work, the idea is, of course, if you've been looking at the universal laws, that we must actually obtain consent from a person that we're sending healing to, or we have to make sure that we send the healing under grace in the divine way. And this is part of making sure that we don't interfere with their divine plan and that we don't incur any negative karma upon ourselves or other people through the process of sending healing, okay? Because if they haven't asked for it, we can't be sure that the receipt is healing is for their highest good. So that's where we're going with that. So here's a little strategy for you to follow up in your own time. I'll let you read that slide yourself. You can press pause. Just briefly, this is a healing activity that you can do by anchoring the healing ray, which we've talked about, the fifth ray, which is the truth of God, and which is held by Archangel Raphael. The colour is actually a mix of the green and the gold. So if you were going to draw on it, you wouldn't just see it as straight like what I've put in these images here. This is just to give you an idea. It's directed to the third eye, ultimately, but of course we put ourselves standing in a pillar of light that goes from the infinite above to the core of the earth, and it's basically for those people who want to know the truth of God. And it's a commitment to the sacredness of life and to the health and well-being and supporting the focus during the divine path or on the divine path. I guess probably the best way to express it is that we're dedicating and committing ourselves and, to walking the path of service and healing. And, if people are actually into healing, as I said before, if you're person that defines themselves as a healer or healing with hands, this would be a really good ray to get yourself involved in. Now, there are crystals, of course, associated with this particular ray, and although I've spoken about crystals on the other slide, the crystals associated with this ray are emerald, diamond, jade, and quartz crystal. So, my friends, that's it for today. Sorry it's been such a long video. I hope you've managed to find something useful within it, though. As I say, thank you for being part of my journey. Have a wonderful week. Our next video in this series is going to be Archangel Zadkiel with the crown chakra, and hopefully I will catch you there. In the meantime, have a wonderful, blessed day, blessed week, and wishing you many angel showers of blessings and love. And take care. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye for now.